Today we're on lesson 5. We're converting measurements and describing relationships between metric units. All right, in that video, we saw several different forms of measurement. Hold on, let me pull it up. All right, we saw a millimeter, centimeter, meter, and a kilometer. Now the millimeter is definitely small. If we look right here on our meter stick, these teeny little lines right here are the millimeters. And these big ones right here, that right there is a centimeter. So there are 10 little millimeters within a centimeter. And the entire meter stick would be 100 centimeters. Well, there isn't a kilometer shown on a meter stick. Discuss with your shoulder partner, why would a kilometer not be shown on a meter stick? Well, it wouldn't be shown because a kilometer is significantly longer. It is actually 1,000 meters long, so it's not going to show up, just like a mile doesn't show up on a yardstick. Well, the little prefixes, I'm not saying that right, centi and milli, when have you seen those other places besides kilometers and centimeters? Discuss with your shoulder partner. Well, we have also seen those when we talk about centigrams, milligrams, grams, and also centiliters and milliliters. Well, but these right here that we are focusing on, those are measuring length. So we're going to get into what some of the other ones do in a moment. So let's see if you guys remember. Let's see, 1 meter equals how many centimeters? That would be 100. And 1 centimeter equals 10 little millimeters. And then they ask how many millimeters are in a meter. Well, pause the video and discuss what you think. Well, 1 centimeter has 10 millimeters, and there's 100 in a meter. So all we have to do is take 10 times 100, and that would get us 1,000 millimeters in a meter. So, and I told my students the pink, I use mine, well, mine's pink, our little conversion chart that has like 3 feet in a yard and 12 inches in a foot. That is not going to have every single measurement on there. Like, for example, this right here, it's probably not going to tell you how many millimeters are in a meter. So you're going to have to use your math brains and figure that out. Like I asked my students to find on their conversion chart how many inches are in a yard, because I know it's not on there. But some of them were able to figure it out. They took like, oh, there's 3 feet and there's 12 inches in a foot. So I just have to multiply that and it would be 36 inches. So you're going to have to do that a lot this year. And there's sometimes when it's going to ask you how many feet are equal to 1 inch. Well, that's definitely not going to be on there. And that's going to be a fraction. And that sounds confusing now, but eventually we're going to be solving problems like that. So you really need to focus working on that math brain and using it efficiently. All right, right here. So some of these are a repeat and some of them are not in the order I wish I'd put them in. So 1 kilometer, I said it earlier, think about it in your head, was 1,000 meters. 1 meter equals 100 centimeters. And 1 meter equals how many millimeters? Well, that would be 1,000. That's the one that's out of order. Right here, 1 centimeter equals 10 millimeters. And then we multiply those two, get 1,000 millimeters in a meter. And then we have to think about how big one is versus the other. So we're comparing a meter to a centimeter. Well, how many times bigger or longer is a meter than 1 centimeter? Well, there's 100 centimeters in a meter, so it's 100 times longer. And a meter is how many times longer than a millimeter? Well, it would be 1,000. And then 1 centimeter is how many times as long as a millimeter? Well, that would be just 10. Well, we said that a meter is 100 times as long as 1 centimeter, and a meter is 1,000 times as long as 1 millimeter. Well, that doesn't make any sense. Shouldn't these two numbers be the same? Pause and discuss with your shoulder partner. Well, my students were really good at catching this one. It's this right here, okay? There are 10 millimeters in a centimeter, so a centimeter is 10 times bigger. So it's going to take up more space. These little guys are super tiny, so it's going to take up less space. So there's going to be more of those inside of a meter. All right, right here is one of the other ones. Here's those prefixes we saw again, kilo, centi, and milli. But now we have grams, so this is measuring weight, not length. And if you notice, gram and meter do not have, and also liter, do not have the prefixes. We're going to discuss that in a moment. All right, it's because they can't be represented in the ones placed in the place value chart, so they're just not in there. Let's see, and then the final one, liters. So we have kiloliter, liter, centiliter, and milliliter. Milliliter is obviously the smallest, kiloliter is the biggest, and those measure volume or how much space something takes up. I like to think of the 2-liter bottle of soda. It's measuring that liquid and how much space that liquid takes up. All right, this one is not in your workbooks. I want you to find a spot and write it down, and then we'll go over it. So this one's pretty basic. I asked my students, like, hey, how many, without even solving it, how many centimeters are in 2 meters? Well, if you have time, I want you to pause and talk about it. This one was pretty easy for the kids. So you guys knew that there was 100 centimeters in a meter, and if we have 2 meters, we're going to take that 100 and either add another 100 to it or multiply it by 2 groups, and that'll get you 200 centimeters. Well, it's not always going to be that easy. So I'm going to teach you some steps that make it super easy to solve these problems. So first off, I'm going to take the 2 meters, and I want to break it apart. I want 1 meter to hop out. So our 2 factors, one of them I want to be 1 meter, because I know that there are 100 centimeters in that. So I want that completely separate from the 2. So then we have to figure out, what is the other factor? What do we have to multiply 1 meter by to get 2 meters? Pause and discuss. Well, this one was a bit of a struggle. So I like to tell people I just chop it right there. Just chop it in half. It's not really half, but it's close-ish. So 1 meter, well, we would have to take that times 2 in order to get back to our 2 meters. Not 1 times 1. 1 times 1 would get us 1 meter. That wouldn't be, those would be wrong factors. So we need to have a 2 right here as our other factor. Well, this right here, I call it my conversion factor. It is what we are converting. And we are converting meters into centimeters in this situation. So this one's going to be centimeters. And we said that 100 centimeters equals 1 meter. And I'm going to keep the 2 the same. So that goes right here. Well, let's take a look at these two lines. Are those two lines equal to each other? Pause and discuss. Well, they are. We didn't change the two stayed the same, we're still multiplying, and these two right here, 1 meter equals 100 centimeters. So it is the same value, it just looks different. And now our final one, we just multiply it. So 2 times 100 gets us 200, and we need to label it. That would be 200 centimeters. So 2 meters equals 200 centimeters. So hopefully you took good notes. That way the next question is going to be super easy because you can just look back at what we did before. So here's our next problem. So go ahead and write that one down on your paper. So here's where you get to see if you took good notes. What are our two factors from 32 meters? Pause and discuss with your shoulder partner. Well, let's see if you got it right. So remember I said before I want to take out the 1 meter because that's super easy to convert to centimeters. And what does 1 meter time, or what do we have to multiply 1 meter by to get to 32? Well, we'd have to take that 1 times 32. So 32 would go right here. We just chop it and split those apart. Then it's pretty much the same thing we did last time. So 100 centimeters times 32. And then turn and tell your shoulder partner, what is our answer? Well, that would be 3,200 centimeters. So 32 meters equals 3,200 centimeters. All right, on page 47, if you have your books with you, we're going to take, and I put the conversion measurement up there at the top. And I want you to solve this with your shoulder partner. Use your examples, go back and look at them, take maybe 2 minutes or so, and then come back and we will go over it. All right, so again, we want to break out the one. This one's going to be a kiloliter. And this would be 456, so there's our two factors. 456 stays the same, but 1 kiloliter equals 1,000 liters. And that would get us 456,000 liters. All right, if you have time, solve number 2 and go over it as a class. I'm going to skip over that and jump over to number 3. Well, look at number 3. What is number 3? What is different about number 3 than number 2 and number 1? Pause and discuss. Well, this one, they were a little sneaky. They put the blank at the front. Now, it's not crazy complicated, and we can change it. We can just flippy-flop it back. If you're like, hey, I do not like that. I started out doing it this way. I want to keep it the same. Just flip it. Now it's just like we've been doing. Not super hard, okay? All right, we're going to jump to the next one. Nope, the next one. All right, right here, we're on page 48. And if you're in class, here are the measurements for this one. So it says the label on a bag of rice weighs 2 kilograms and 300 grams. Well, first of all, that's a big difference right there. There's 2 separate sections. We haven't had that yet. There's kilograms and grams. So that's going to throw a kink in it. Then it says the label on a bag of beans reads 2,300 milligrams. Well, that's nothing to even do with kilograms. Well, it's all grams, but still, those are 3 completely separate things. We've usually only dealt with 2. Which bag is heavier? So that's the question we're answering. So we currently know that the beans weigh 2,300 milligrams. We are trying to figure out what the rice weighs. So we have to convert. So first off, let's look right here. We're going to compare. Well, not compare, sorry. Which one, is it kilograms or grams, can we immediately convert into milligrams? Well, right here, this one. It's going to be the grams. So that one's going to be the easy one. So 300 grams is going to immediately convert into milligrams. Well, the other one's going to be a little bit more work, but we can handle it. So the other one, we're going to take 2 kilograms. And we're going to have to use this first. We're going to convert it to grams first, and then we're going to convert grams to milligrams. So let's start with that one. So first off, we break it into our 2 factors. We just chippy chop it right in half. So that's going to be 1 kilogram and 2. So there's our 2 factors. Keep the 2 the same. And 1 kilogram, it says, is 1,000 grams. So that would get us 2,000 grams. And now we can use this measurement right here and convert it to milligrams. So that would be 2,000 times our conversion factor of 1 gram. And 1 gram equals how many milligrams? It says 1,000. And then if we multiply that, 2 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 zeros. So it is 2 million milligrams. Well, honestly, we already know our answer because that is significantly bigger than our beans. But it's good practice. I want you to pause the video and I want you and your shoulder partner to solve the grams into milligrams part and then come back. All right, so now that you're back, we have 300 times 1 gram. And that is 1,000. So that would be 300,000 milligrams. So then we would have to add, so we could figure out how much total rice. So if we add this one and this one, oops, there we go, we would get 2,300,000 milligrams, of rice. So the rice, or the bag of rice, is bigger or weighs more. So go ahead and try a few problems from the problem set and then do the exit ticket.